Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chasing Larger Sports Stories podcast. As you can tell, I am insanely tired and pissed off, and I'm just tired of these two and their crap. Okay. I'm just going to start that right off the top here. Okay. Chase is playing pranks, Josh showing up late. Crap. Okay. I can only take so much. Okay. So just to let y'all know right off the top, do you two have anything to say for yourselves? White Boy Slim?
Nope, not at all.
This is a common occurrence. Josh, anytime he shows up to a random place, he just changes his name to whatever it is that you can maybe say that's racist, but then again, he is white, so
He's always late to everything. He'll be late to his own
he
funeral.
really is. And Josh, do you want to tell everyone why you were late to this live recording session?
I had to finish my Madden franchise mode. I'm the Panthers right now.
And he couldn't pause it, ladies and gentlemen, to do it after we were done with this. But whatever. All right, we're moving on here. We got something important. Oh my gosh, my friend Trey is in here. What's good, Trey? What's up? Well, I think the biggest news that we have to talk about today, and it's the one that's got everyone riled up, and that is the Deshaun Watson hearing. We did discuss it in a video yesterday that the hearing was going to be today, and Sue Robinson, the judge, was supposed to give out a ruling today, and her ruling today gave out a 6-game suspension, citing that he broke the NFL personal conduct policy, and that warranted 6 games. So I'm just going to say this right off the top. I'm not going to sit here and say at all whether or not I believe 6 games is an appropriate punishment or not. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to go off of what I have seen from everything and make a decision and kind of just like talk about what came into that decision. These two can do whatever they want with it. That's up to them to decide it. But one thing I will mention right off the top here is I said it from the get-go that this ruling, I think a lot of people are getting the wrong idea about this ruling because a lot of people are thinking that the NFL was the prime decision maker in this, which is hilarious that so many people are saying that, because if they followed along with this at all, then they would understand that the NFL was at minimum wanting a 12-game suspension, at bare minimum. Also was wanting to fine Watson $8.5 million this year as well. So the NFL wanted a year-long suspension. But, of course, the judge, an actual judge by the court of law, stated that he was getting 6 games, not the NFL. And the NFL, from what I heard, is appealing the decision. So they are going to try to get more games out of it. And, of course, my brother's in here, too. Mitch, are you and Trey together right now, or are you guys just separated? But whatever.
Derek, did the NFL actually say that they were coming out and appealing it? Because
I heard somebody say that the NFL was planning to appeal.
Because they do have 3 days to do so. And
right. I think they are. From what I heard somebody say, White Boy Slim, more like Peyton Manatee. Either way, well, at the end of the day, we have a 6-game suspension, and another thing that people are doing is they're comparing it to basically the other punishments that were given out by the NFL, and trying to state how this ruling is a complete joke based off of other punishments that were given out by the NFL specifically, aka the Calvin Ridley thing, right? Where Calvin Ridley has been suspended for a year for betting on one game that he had nothing to do with. And I think I know for myself that he should never have been he should have never been suspended. He could have been fined. I don't mind that. If you want to fine him for that, I completely understand. But suspending him for that for a non-play issue is a huge problem for me. And we've heard about the Josh Gordon comparison, how he's been suspended for years off of not being able to stay off weed, and a bunch of other things that we have heard. I just think that it's wrong to compare the circumstance of Watson versus the comparison of all these other issues in the NFL, because the NFL was not the proprietor in this decision on Watson. It was the actual court system. So that's where we're at right now. So Josh, I want to hear your thoughts first on this stuff, because I know I've heard Chase's reaction several times at this point. But what about you? What's your thoughts on this going down as only a 6-game suspension at the moment?
I think I just think that it should have been like 9 games, just half the season. They're called a day, That's how I think it should have been to begin with. Just, it's not an entire season, but it's half the season, so everybody leaves happy. But then,
well, not really. You ask anyone in the general public, says that he should have either been a year or should have been suspended for life.
Yeah, but I still think that if they should go back and redo Calvin Ridley's suspension, because
totally agree.
That was totally unjustified for an entire year, and it wasn't even a game he was betting on. I mean, sports betting, side note, like sports betting has become, more mainstream lately now. It's been legalized in many states. So I think that they, like you said, Derek, they should just find Calvin Ridley and just called it a day. And then because, he didn't bet on any of his games, but then what the allegations against Watson were, they were more heavy than, just saying, hey, I'm going to put down, $500K on, the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the NFL needs to work with the third party or whatever, they're doing to have the suspensions to make justifiable decisions on what constitutes a season ban or, a half a season ban or a 4-game suspension,
And that was one of the many reasons why Sue Robinson came out with the decision that she made, was stating the NFL's horrific track record on specific punishments that did not warrant the suspension that a player was given, aka the Calvin Ridley thing.
Where was the
situation?
Where was the NFLPA for Calvin Ridley there?
Oh, I mean, the NFLPA was not happy with it at all. I'm sure they weren't, but I mean, there's not much they could do about it, because the NFLPA can only do so much in representing the player. But when the NFL has the final decision, there's nothing that the NFLPA can do about it when it comes to that.
And she's right with the NFL's horrible decision making when it comes to suspensions. Because remember, what started this whole thing with the NFL suspensions was Ray Rice getting 4 games for knocking the daylights out of his girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what caused everything. Like, that was the catalyst for all these suspensions that are coming out now, ranging from absolute lunacy to that's it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have, Calvin Ridley gone for a season, Deshaun Watson with 6 games, and so on and so forth. The NFL just needs to work out and just say, this is what deserves 4 games, like smoking weed in states that it's not legalized in.
But are they doing this because he's a quarterback, and one of the big names in the NFL? Or are they doing it because, they're finally following the CBA protocols and doing it the fair way?
Right. And then Sue Robinson also made that point that the CBA is what's screwing this decision over, because they have to go by the actual rules. Again, public opinion, most people agree that 6 games is not enough. I understand that. But in a court of law, when you have to follow specific protocol and specific paperwork, what your problem is with the CBA and with keeping the NFL out of the final decision of it, the NFL has no right in making a decision based on merit and on public opinion. And that was an issue that Sue Robinson brought up with the NFL, is that they were following it under public opinion rather than based on what was actually happening at the front. And again, there's a couple different reasons why she stated she couldn't go higher, because when you're basing it off the personal conduct policy, it was, even though there were 30 accused allegations, this is the first time that Watson is having a problem with the NFL. So that is why, under legal and fine line protocols, that's why they can only count it as one occurrence, not 30 occurrences. So again, common sense of it all, we get it, but by the paperwork's terms of it, obviously it's a little dense. And it's definitely been a weird day. I'll just say this. I think the NFL shot themselves in the foot with only wanting a 1-year suspension. I think that they should have went with the ultimatum and said Watson should have been kicked out of the NFL for this. I mean, they should have, because ultimately what you're saying is the NFL wanted 1 year, Watson wanted nothing at all. So they find something in the middle, most likely. And what your problem is now is, okay, so now if the court goes down the middle, then most people are not happy. If you had went with the total extreme to the one total extreme, there might have been that 1 year sufficed. It might have been. But at the end of the day, it's an odd situation. But Chase, what was your thoughts on the whole situation?
I was expecting like 8 or 9 games. I mean, to be real honest, like at maximum 10. Because, looking at how it is, Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who actually is charged with rape, got 6 games and then got it cut down to 4 after an appeal. And then Watson was just accused, didn't really have like any physical evidence of him actually sexually assaulting somebody. So, but not only that, like, where do you go from here with this? Because like we've talked about, Roger Goodell signed off on this CBA agreement, agreeing that, a lot of the players thought the punishments were too outrageous and too harsh for Roger Goodell, especially with the Zeke Elliott situation, having no evidence and,
even having his own investigator say that she didn't believe the story of what the woman said about him.
Right. And then handing out 6 games to that. This is why they wanted to have a third-party person and a judge of a legal court system who has been retired but knows the laws and regulations and read through all of the CBA verbatim, word for word, cover to cover, and figured out, okay, this is what's going to be beneficial for each of them. And the NFLPA said, had gotten Watson and his legal team to say, hey, we're not going to appeal the suspension. We're just going to take whatever it comes to give. And they want the NFL to do the same. Now, the thing is, what Judy Batista and a lot of these people on the NFL Network were saying is that Roger Goodell has had a history of winning appeals in the past in the appeal court. And they're saying that if he goes to the appeal court with this and, he's able to make the final decision, he could end up winning it. But the thing is, they could turn around and sue Roger Goodell and the entire NFL for violating a contract that he had signed with the players and everybody else. So you're going to have that's where it gets a fine line, because if you end up violating that and it goes to appeals court and then to a federal court, Deshaun Watson can play if the start of the season comes around by the time these appeals are going through. That's how Zeke was able to do it. Like as far as the appeals were going, like he was able to play, and Watson can do the same thing. But the thing is, I think it'd be better for the NFL to just cut their losses right now, let him serve the 6-game suspension, and then call it a day. Yes, what they did with Calvin Ridley was harsh, and why they didn't let him go through a third-party judge or a third-party system is beyond me. But I think that with the situation that Watson had, it's a much more substantial and like much higher stakes than what Calvin Ridley had. So that's why they went with a third-party judge rather than having go through the NFL.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, public opinion, everyone's kind of outraged by this decision, but at the end of the day, we just have to take a look into what made this decision happen. And, regardless of whether you like the decision or hate the decision, doesn't matter. The circumstances matter and understanding what went down. So again, I'm not gonna say
what, Josh?
Do you think that this is going to open up a whole new can of worms for what is a suspension, what's justified as a suspension, and what isn't? Like what would be the middle ground for a good suspension then? Like this just being 6 games.
I think what this will do is will make the NFL become a lot more detailed in how punishments get assorted. Like, I think that, like I mentioned before, with the judge stating that he violated the personal conduct policy, this is his first offense, and by the NFL's rules, that's 6 games. Now, everyone says 30 times, 30, 30, 30. That's the number there. Do they now put in a clause that says, to a certain extent of how bad it is, does that warrant more games?
You know right? what? No, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just kind of thought about this. So during the next CBA agreements, do you think that this will lead to a lockout between the NFL and the NFLPA just because of this one moment right here where Goodell couldn't hand out the punishments and it left a sour taste in the NFL's mouth that they are going to try to do whatever they can to get that clause taken out of the new CBA in 10 years?
Mitchell, the NFL is able to give him a longer suspension if they win the appeal. They're going to have to appeal it, though.
Yeah, they have to. Hold on. They have to win the appeal in appeals court, because if they win the appeal, then Watson and the legal team and the NFLPA themselves have the opportunity to sue Roger Goodell and the NFL and take them to federal court.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. That the next CBA, it's going to lead to a possible NFL lockout because the NFLPA took all the power away from the NFL when it comes to this, and the NFL is going to want that power back. So they're going to look back at this for a possible lockout in 10 years just because the NFL players can finally get reasonable suspensions for accusations. Keep in mind, those are accusations and not actual full-on.
The appeal has to go through appeals court because the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement agreed upon by the NFL Players Union and the NFL organization itself, they signed a CBA that stated the NFL cannot give a punishment out without a third-party associate going through the case first. They cannot give out a regular suspension on any player of this caliber unless they end up going through a third party and the third party agrees with them. That's why Deshaun Watson's case was heard by a judge and not by the NFL's legal team. The NFL legal team in the past was able to make decisions, and Roger Goodell can make the ultimate decision regardless of whether he agreed with them or not, like what he did with Zeke. But doesn't have the power to do that now because of the collective bargaining agreement. Yeah. And so
if it was old rules right now, we'd be saying, who the heck is Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, exactly. He'd probably be out of the league. Now, to your point, I mean, we just saw what happened with the MLB, right? Like we saw what happened with the MLB. It locked out for a whole month because of, Rob Manfred and the players union were not close on anything. And then Manfred realized his league is already in jeopardy. He's got to get it back up and running now, or else he's never going to be able to repair anything. So he caved, right? And I mean, it could very well happen, because you're right. If the NFL organization feels threatened by a newfound power in the players union, because the NFL is turning into more of a players organization, that could very well be a possibility.
You know what else
could be a
kind of
stepping
like
stone.
showing us this is that the NFL had too much power to abuse, really, after this, because just hearing how, like, Roger Goodell could just throw suspensions out like it was like Easter candy, and he can't do that anymore, and how it's like probably eating him alive because he's the general man, like the head guy that the NFL owners chose because he's a yes man and will do whatever he can to keep the NFL in a squeaky clean image, but he can't do that now. So I think that this clause in this CBA, as of right now, I could be wrong on this, but I think this is what leads to Roger Goodell leaving the NFL, because he is used to handing out. He is used to handing out punishments, like I said earlier, like it's Easter candy, and he can't do that anymore because of the third party thing, and it's going to drive him nuts.
Yeah. Now, go ahead, Josh. Continue.
And I'm just going to finish up because it's just that he has no power anymore. So he cannot flex his muscle anymore. And I think that the NFL is going to realize that they're going to need to have a new, head guy that can take answers from the owners, but also can kind of worm around the new CBA that just came out.
Yeah, I got a couple things to say, and then we'll move on. Mitch, I'll answer a couple of your questions. One of them is the Browns actually do have a shot. I mean, it's only 6 games, and they got a weak schedule to start the season with, so they'll either go 3-3 or 4-2. Also, they are not on Deshaun Watson's side per se. It's more of the NFLPA, because they are a players' association to sit there and help the players and anything that they need. Mm-hmm. And the collective bargaining agreement is agreed upon with all of the owners and all of the players in the NFL. And then the final signature comes from Roger Goodell. If he signs off on that, anything that he violates in the collective bargaining agreement is now null and void and has to go to the federal court. That's why we are sitting here talking about if he wins an appeals court and the NFLPA turns around and sues Goodell in the NFL, then Deshaun Watson can still play week 1 if this goes extended into the season, but then it'll go to a federal court, and then it'll be up to the judge and the legal system to decide, is this suspension that Goodell wants warranted because he violated a contract that he had signed. And this could lead to the players pushing back and being like, if he violated this and he's not listening to the CBA that we did, do we want to play with him anymore? And then it's going to lead exactly to what Josh said, that if the players do not like what he's doing and he ends up going through the court and they sue him, he could end up losing his job because he's trying to fight this and go against the contract that he just signed. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation for Goodell in any case. And
which one is less damage control at this point?
Yeah, like, does he want to try to bolster the NFL's image and please all the people, or does he want to please the players and the people that bring in the revenue for the NFL? I think that if he leaves it alone, yes, the public and the fans will take a hit for a little bit, but you'll still have the players and the ones that bring in the revenue and the people to watch and everything like that. So I think at this point in time, he's better off just leaving things alone.
I just really hate the people who are on social media saying that this is a sad day to be a fan of the NFL. Like, why? I mean, the NFL wants him to be suspended longer. Why are you people not supporting the NFL? You should be hating the Browns. You should be hating the NFLPA. You should be hating the judge, not the NFL. The NFL's wanting him to be gone for a long, long time. Like, people just don't. I just are too caught up in the emotion of the decision, or not thinking clearly of what is actually going down. Nevertheless,
I hate the people that are
we'll
also
see.
like stop becoming Browns fans because of this. It's like you don't have to stop being fans of the team. Just you could hate a player on the team and still cheer for the team. Like,
yeah, I know that can be a little difficult though, especially for somebody like myself. If I had somebody on the team that was in Deshaun Watson's shoes, it'd be a little difficult. It'd be hard to root for him, but either way, you know, it's gonna be weird. But
long story short, just wait for the next CBA to reach an agreement where there's going to be no NFL for like the first week of September in like 2032 or whatever.
It's a 5-year agreement, Josh, not a 10-year.
Okay, the MLB one is a 10-year, right?
I think so.
Legacy. All right, so it's a 5-year.
Trey out of left field.
Trey, get out of here.
It affects LeBron's legacy.
Mitch, it doesn't matter if the Browns wanted to keep him or not. He was not going to stay when they signed Deshaun Watson. He did not want to be his backup. So let's move on. Let's move on to a different topic here. Chase, I think you and I can just stay out of this one for a little while because you and I talked about it before. We know each other's opinions on this, the Kyler Murray contract situation. But I want to hear White Boy Slim's reaction to this.
But the fact that
Josh, I don't know if you saw, but Kyler Murray had that homework clause in his contract that stated he needed to have 4 hours of independent film study per week during game weeks. And he, after a couple days of this reminiscing everywhere, the Arizona Cardinals took it out of this contract, stating that seeing all the negativity it's brought, they just decided to take it out. What do you make of this whole situation?
That, to me, felt like a warning shot by the Cardinals, because I feel like the Cardinals aren't fully on board with paying Kyler Murray that much money. You know, I just think that they put that in there because they want to make Kyler Murray like Tom Brady, who sits there for like 4 to 6 hours just watching film, drinking like his TB12 method, like power shakes. And that's just not Kyler Murray's style. Now, do I think Kyler Murray's overrated? Absolutely.
Yep.
Abso-freaking-lutely. The dude's going to need a step stool to look over his freaking offensive lineman every time he throws a football. But he should have just gone to baseball. I don't know why he, just. Oh yeah, hell yeah, that's right there. But
I just, it's just funny because, people got so offended, Josh, at the Arizona Cardinals even insisting on Kyler Murray having that in his contract.
He's not a good quarterback, but they're like, okay, we need to pay him, otherwise he's leaving. I would have just let him leave.
I would have too.
No, I understand. No, it's a thing. I used to have that same mentality, Josh. I really did. But here's the thing.
You're goddamn right. Shout out to Brandon at Beyond Blend. Straighten me up right there,
just
man.
Roasted your ass, bro.
Look at that. Clean. Fucking pro.
You look like Coconut Head from fucking Ned's Declassified.
I'm leaving.
I don't.
I'm gonna leave.
That's so funny, dude. Thanks, Trey. I mean, here's the thing. I think that Arizona taking that out now just makes them look weak. Makes them look weak to the peer pressure of public opinion. Like,
well,
I mean,
how they are.
You have a situation where you have a quarterback that does not like to watch film. You know it. That's the reason why you put it in there in the first place, because you wouldn't have put it in there if you didn't think that film study was a problem for him. So you made it to where, hey, if you want this $230 million, we're going to ask you to do just a little bit more for us. And
that'd be reasonable.
Oh my gosh, 4 extra hours of studying film at your house for the week. Oh my God. 1 hour of film a day. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like as if that is a totally irresponsible and rude thing of them to do.
If they were going to pay me $230 million to redo all my homework assignments through college, I would gladly do it. And I would sit my ass down in that college library down there and not move. If they're going to pay me $230 million.
Oh, hell yeah. I would freaking do anything if I was getting paid $230 million. 4 hours of something. So what? What different? What does that hurt? How does that hurt?
You know what sucks too about that is, like, you're right. It wasn't even, like sit down there for 4 hours.
Mitch,
Derek, would you watch?
Mitch, we know you do more homework than any of the rest of us in here. Okay?
Derek, would you watch NANCAP for 4 hours?
I'll watch anything.
Hey, Mitch, if you're looking for an engineering job, can you come down here and help us start our Mustang? It's not going.
All right. Well, I think we got enough of that one. I think we all are in agreement here that is something that is completely stupid. Let's talk about another guy here that is resulting in not getting a new contract. So Orlando Brown, the left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, originally wasn't a hold-in and stated that he wanted a new contract extension before because he was placed on the tag in the offseason and said he wanted an extension to stay long-term. Well, the reported offer that the Kansas City Chiefs provided him, and I told Chase this number already, it would have made him the highest paid left tackle in the history of the NFL. Would have made him the highest paid offensive lineman ever. It would have beat Trent Williams' offer by $24 million.
Which Trent Williams deserves that money. Orlando Brown's
Trent Williams is a 99 overall on Madden. That dude is a bulldozer. So the contract was a 6-year contract worth $144 million. Now, Orlando Brown is 27, so that 6 years is not, it wouldn't be a concern. But Orlando Brown did not sign that contract because him and his agent wanted more guaranteed money than what the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to give him. Apparently, they were off by like $20 or $30 million. So he stated that he would play under the tag and would basically probably either try again with them next offseason or would just go somewhere else. So that's going to be the ultimate decision. Josh, do you think it is a bad idea that Orlando Brown turned down that contract?
So we've seen that a lot. Remember, there is a couple examples of like players back then who were offered something like that, thinking they could get more, and then they just don't. The dummy should have just signed the contract right there. I'm telling you right there, lock it up for 6 years. You're good. Take the money and run. Don't push your luck because, the NFL is willing to like cut corners if it means keeping themselves under the cap space. And I mean, I get why he wants more guaranteed money. I mean, offensive linemen go through a lot, when it cut in regards to, playing, because you have to just take a beating regardless. And then if him being a left tackle, I'm pretty sure he can ask for more money like how he is because he's protecting Patrick Mahomes, the formerly wealthiest quarterback.
Damn it, Trey, you need to stop this.
Hold on a second, boys. I'll just say this.
Continue. Hold on. Let Josh continue. Continue, Josh. I interrupted.
Oh, hold on. What did Trey say?
He said he's betting on himself just like Calvin Ridley.
Hell yeah.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
If that's true, then he should be suspended an entire season. There you go.
Ah.
But I just think that he should have just signed the contract. That way he had 6 years there. But now that he's pushing himself and betting on himself like Calvin Ridley, he's going to – and playing under the tag. You don't play under the tag unless you're going to get a guaranteed contract from your team next season.
I can see why he turned it down because of the guaranteed money, but like it's still dumb. Like, does anybody know about his dad and like what happened to him in the NFL?
No.
So long story short is his dad used to be an NFL lineman. He played for, I think, 2 teams. One was the Browns, and that's where he ended up getting hurt. what it was is he was one of the better offensive linemen in the league at that point in time. His dad was, and there was a ref that back when the flags used to have beads in them, or
I remember this.
Pellets.
Yeah, I remember that story.
One of the refs threw the flag, and it hit him right in his eye and damaged part of his vision. And he was never able to recover fully from that. And he retired in the prime of his career, and he ended up suing the NFL because of that incident. And he ended up winning, but he didn't get paid a lot. And, part of the reason why he wants this guaranteed money is he wants to make sure that if anything were to happen to a situation of the degree of like what his dad happened, he wants to make sure he's got that money to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, this all comes down to just what he should do for himself. I mean, I've taken a stance many years ago that I would never tell somebody what they should be worth and what they shouldn't be worth. At the end of the day, if he wants to turn down the largest offensive lineman contract in the history of the NFL, that's his choice. If he thinks he can do better, then I get it. Go do you, Orlando. I mean, I'm just saying, would I have turned it down? No.
Where's the Chiefs getting this money?
Hey, some might say he's looking for some Orlando magic.
No, just stop. Just stop. Stop. Yeah, please walk away. You know what? I want to kick you off right now. I really do. But here's the thing. Like, I don't know what guaranteed money was given. Obviously, I didn't think it was enough. But it really does seem, I get the point of what Chase was saying about, wanting to make sure that guaranteed money is there. But obviously, like, if something were to happen in the immediate future and that really affects his financial situation, say he doesn't do very well this next year and no team wants to offer him that same contract again, you're taking a huge gamble on not taking the largest contract in NFL history for an offensive lineman, regardless of the guarantee.
Just imagine if he gets a torn ACL, he's done.
I know. Well, maybe. I mean, some guys have come back from a torn ACL just fine. But,
yeah, but he's going to be on the tag. So,
yeah, I know. I mean, he's going to get $16.5 million this year. Make a pretty penny off it. But obviously, here's the thing. He doesn't even really care about the year or the amount that it is. He wants the guarantee. That's what's important to him right now. So whoever throws the most guaranteed money at him this next offseason is the one that's going to get him. So we'll see how he does. That's very interesting to see that he he would do that. But
all right, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic that we've got to discuss is the largest contract that a running back will ever get in the history of the NFL.
Quit Lamar being Jackson. Disrespectful, homie.
Lamar Jackson.
Goodness gracious, can you not do that? All right, off the bat.
I mean, am I wrong though? Like, the man can't throw.
Yeah, you are, because he plays quarterback. Okay, I understand. He's a running quarterback.
Yes,
but so was Michael Vick. Okay, we still called him a quarterback.
Michael had a better arm, better accuracy, and better poise in the pocket than what Lamar Jackson does. And he also had more playoff wins. He had more playoff wins than Lamar Jackson did as well.
Okay, look. Okay, so the question of it is we're hearing reports that Lamar would be getting close to the highest contract in NFL history
by a quarterback, and I don't think that it's worth it with him. Like, he is like, I think that he should be in the upper echelon of the top 10 quarterbacks, but paying him $40 million a year is a little ridiculous. I'd say a $30 to like $33 million is a reasonable price for him.
You're right, Trey. He had that dog in him. Then he told that dog to go fight other dogs.
I'm down to pay Lamar anywhere from 35 to 38 million. I'm down to do that.
I would do 35
I want to cross the 40 million threshold.
See, I would do 35 max, because other than his unanimous MVP,
never going to get him for that.
Well,
never going to get him for that.
well then, let him walk because he's not worth it. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, yes, he's won a unanimous MVP, but he's been to the playoffs 3 times, has won a playoff game, has never been able to win a game solely on his arm. And,
Did that impact Kyler Murray?
What do you mean?
Did that impact Kyler Murray getting paid $230 million over 5 years? He's getting paid $42 million a year.
They were just scared because they don't know if they don't know if they're going to ever hit on another quarterback again. But the thing is, like, Lamar, you could pay him all this money and he could go the next 10 years and never sniff a Super Bowl. And then what do? You sit there and waste all your time paying him all that money for a guy that can't even throw the ball accurately down the field that much. I think that $35 million to a maximum of 36 or 37 is what he's worth. He is not worth 40 to 45 million. And anybody that thinks that he is, it's just ridiculous because he has not shown you enough in the NFL and enough in the playoffs to warrant paying him $40 million a year. Josh, what do you think?
Well, can I at least preface this by saying that in my family, we have a united hatred for Lamar Jackson just because he's dominated all our teams. And the name of this group chat is called Fuck the Bitch Ass Ravens.
Mitch, he cannot throw. Continue.
So we will do anything we can to bury the hell out of the Ravens. But isn't his mom his agent?
She was.
Or something like that.
She was. I think he got a real agent now though.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mitch, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but the only playoff game that Lamar has won was a 77-yard touchdown run and not a throw. He every time that he stepped back and throw, he's either gotten it intercepted, he's gotten it batted away, or he's cracked under pressure and just thrown it away because he cannot step up in the pocket and throw the ball forcefully to his receivers and have them be able to get the ball. And we have seen it time and time again where he's choked in the playoffs because of that reason. And until he can prove that he can do that, I don't see him as a quarterback that can take you all the way.
And Mitch, I agree with you, Mitch. It's one of those things where, again, I talk about what I said to Josh earlier. I have always been of the idea, and it was something I talked about when Dak was looking for a new extension, right? I look at it from the perspective of, Dak's always been a good quarterback, but when people were asking him, is he going to get paid $40 million? Is he going to get paid $45 million? I'm like, I could never in my life think to pay Dak Prescott $40 million a year, but he gets close to it because, again, the problem you have with it is there are so few quarterbacks in the league that will send your team to even a contention for a Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson is unfortunately one of those. And it's hard. I understand the argument that the success thing should keep you from getting that high paid contract until you actually do have some success. I totally get that. But the problem we're having in this day and age is the simple fact that guys who do not get signed, there is another team out there that is willing to pay top dollar for a guy like a Lamar Jackson, even if he can't throw. Now, or if he can't throw as well as some other elite quarterbacks in the NFL. But the problem is Lamar is a playmaker. He scares a lot of teams. And Mitch, there is no question about it that Lamar is a better quarterback than Jimmy G. That's not even a question.
That's not. I mean, he's a better quarterback than Jimmy G. But
hey, Derek, Jimmy G led the team to the Super Bowl.
No, he didn't. He had a better offensive line. He had better weapons. He had a better defense. Trey, I would not agree with that. I could probably put 10 quarterbacks ahead of him right now, but
same.
But it's close. I mean, Lamar is that fringe top 10 guy. I mean, again, that's not disrespectful to Lamar. Lamar is a great talent. I mean,
It is
fair to say that Lamar has, has had some issues with the accuracy down the field at times. Okay, so it's I know for a fact he's going to get $45 million. If not 45, he's going to get at minimum 40.
Derek, the question is, you put him on
question.
any other system in this NFL, does he have success?
Yes, 100%. Yes, he does. He's an athlete.
So
He's
you're
an
telling me
athlete.
he's gonna have to-
It
so wait,
doesn't
time
matter.
out,
It
time out.
doesn't.
So you're telling me that he would have won 10 games or so under Urban Meyer's Jaguars team?
Probably not. But why do you have to go to the bottom of the barrel? Why can't it
Because
be like?
if he
Why
can't-
can't
if
it
he
be
can
with the
take anything
Colts?
with it-
Like if you put Lamar Jackson with this Colts team, the way they like to run the football, there would be nobody that could stop them. Nothing. Of course, the Ravens have built the system around to help Lamar Jackson. Of course so. And that's unfortunately the problem with why the Ravens can't get very far in the playoffs as well, because when they try that same system, when playoff defenses get better and when the getting gets going and it gets harder and your team is struggling with injuries and things of that nature, it gets harder to run the football that way. And unfortunately, that's just something that Lamar has to deal with because that's how the Ravens have built the system.
I mean, you could sit here and say and make that like excuse that, oh, he hasn't had a good wide receiver, but the year that he won his MVP, like he had threw for 36 touchdown passes and 3,500 yards and went 14-2 during the regular season. But the thing is, if he didn't have any good wide receivers, how did he throw that many touchdown passes? I'll tell you, little rinky-dink dump passes down to Mark Andrews in the red zone that didn't even matter most of the time. And then the second point to that is, if he was that good to go 14-2 and annihilate everybody through the regular season, why the hell couldn't he do that in the playoffs? And why couldn't he throw his 36 touchdowns in the playoffs? Because he cannot hit the receivers when it matters. When he's under pressure, he panics and his feet do not stay planted.
I will say this. Last year, he did hit a pretty solid dime to Hollywood Brown against the Browns to win the game.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the ultimate question is do we think he's going to end up getting the one of, if not the biggest contract in NFL history?
He
probably is.
And that's just because the Ravens.
It's unfortunate because, I mean, again, I've always
not really.
I always love it when the guys who are the most productive gets the most money. But again, it's not how the NFL works anymore. I mean, the Ravens cannot find another quarterback now to fill in the shoes that Lamar Jackson's able to
just
right
think
now.
About it, Chase. Your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, caused this argument with that contract.
Lamar's about to get $250 million in guaranteed money now.
I want to go on record and say that I have no personal vendetta against Lamar Jackson, but to me, I don't think that he's worth $40 million until he can sit there and prove to me that he's able to take his team to the championship round, to the Super Bowl, or even lead them past the divisional round. If he can do that in the playoffs, regular season don't matter, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers light up the regular season and then choke in the playoffs all the time.
Regular season Rodgers.
And he's had Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver in the league. But the thing is, you got a guy that's lighting up the regular season like Lamar, but he's terrible in the playoffs and can't perform. When he can do that, I will gladly put him in my top 5, and I will gladly say that he's worth $40 million. But until he can put together a great span where he puts his arm and his legs together and proves to me that he can lead his team all the way, then you'll have my vote. But I've got nothing against the guy and I hope for nothing but the best for him. But he has not proven that he can do that at the moment.
Well, we'll leave that one as is. That was the heated one for the day. So Chase wanted to talk about George Pickens here for a second. Chase, you wanna take over this one for me?
Yeah, I've actually been going through a lot of TikToks, and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how George Pickens is lighting up the Steelers training camp right now, and which kind of intrigued me. So I went back to watch some training camp highlights and how well he's doing.
You actually watched Steelers footage?
Huh?
You actually watched Steelers footage?
I did.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Praise the Lord, he is not biased anymore. There we go.
I haven't been biased. Anyway.
Yeah, sure, whatever, homie. So says the guy wearing a Cleveland Browns shirt.
Listen, you're the one that's always biased talking a whole bunch of trash. I don't want to hear it.
Whatever. I'm way less biased than you are.
No, I'm actually willing to admit when my team sucks and when there's players better than people on my team. But anyway, George Pickens is a guy that I was looking at dominating everybody on the Steelers defense. Like, he was making contested catch after contested catch, doing one-handed grabs, going up over top of defenders, and even flipping over a couple of them. And that is a dude that is absolutely scary. I think that he will pass Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and be the number one guy on that team, and, possibly be the steal of the draft for the wide receivers. Like, we're over here talking about Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and Drake London and all these guys. We're forgetting about how good George Pickens actually was. And yes, he did not play much in college, but I think the Steelers got an absolute steal with him. What do you guys think?
Well, he's going to have baby hands Magoo throwing it to him, so, we'll never know.
No, he's not. From what I heard, Mason Rudolph is the one leading that room.
Oh, jeez.
God, he can still talk after getting his helmet thrown into his skull by
Yeah, I know, by Myles Garrett. He got chased to thank for that one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I don't like to take too much from training camp footage. Obviously, it's too early to decide that, especially even for like when I'm talking about the Colts wide receivers and everything. It's first week of training camp for everyone. We'll have to wait till the pads come on to actually start seeing some real results. There's a reason why George Pickens fell to where he did. And, I don't know if I can say this or not.
People say the only reason why he fell that far is because his attitude was bad.
Yes, and there were rumors about him basically harassing certain people at Georgia, and like apparently there was like a hazing issue that got swept under the rug.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Trey,
or not.
If you guys were gay, would you hook up with Joe Burrow?
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine he doesn't go to any bar in Cincinnati or anywhere in Cincinnati and there's not gay men looking for him everywhere. Come on.
Well, Chase can't answer that because he's married, but yes, I would. And I would not be
at least you agree with me, Chase. We know you're married, but you can tell the truth here.
Hypothetical.
Okay? It's hypothetical.
You're saying if I was gay?
If you were gay. We obviously know you're not because you're married, but if you were gay.
Yeah, I'd probably go.
Hey, there you go. All right. I appreciate the honesty, guys. All right, whatever. Here's the thing. George.
Who's the third person that's in here watching this?
It's me. I'm watching it as well on my other monitor. So,
gotcha.
But here's the thing. I don't think he's going to be the steal of the draft. If anything, he's probably going to end up he's probably going to screw something up to mess up his chances. I'm pretty positive of it.
I don't know. Mike Tomlin doesn't usually tolerate that kind of crap.
Makes sense that the Steelers would get him. Maybe
they've
Tomlin,
always been great at drafting wide receivers.
Can knock some sense into him, but we've seen him try to do that with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and that didn't happen. So
they've always been great at drafting wide receivers, though. So we'll see.
We'll see. I think Mitch is saying, look at the freaking camera, Josh.
Yeah, white boy Slim.
Gosh.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic that we've got, we're talking about a couple injuries that happened. Van Jefferson, one of the wide receivers for the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, he ended up tweaking his knee at practice and said that he will have to have surgery and could potentially miss week 1 of the season. Guys, your thoughts on that? Do you think that it's going to be is he going to be missed in that lineup or not?
I always thought Van Jefferson was a very underrated player. I mean,
he's a great second option.
Yeah. He's a very good player. Obviously they have Cooper Kupp, they have Allen Robinson. They got a couple other boys in there that, can handle the job for a few weeks if Van Jefferson was gone. Van Jefferson, from what I can recall, is really just that guy on the outside that can really burn you at any point. He's been very well known for that. So, yeah, of course you'll be missed when, you're one of those rotational guys, but the Rams have enough. The Rams have enough firepower. I think they'll be okay to start the season without him.
Would be good too.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, not to mention Cam Akers and Tyler Higbee. I think that they'll be okay for the first couple weeks without Van Jefferson. But lastly, the other injury that we got to cover is a guy that you shouldn't be too worried about. It's Joe Burrow. He ended up having an appendectomy done. And, he's back on the field with his teammates. Now, obviously, he can't put on the pads for another couple weeks, and he might miss 1 or 2 preseason games because it's usually a week and a half to 2-week process of healing and making sure. But, since he doesn't have to play, since he's the starter and nobody's going to take that away from him, they might actually just give him the full 3 weeks to rest and maybe put him in there for like a quarter or 2 in the final preseason game to get him some work. But you guys, I don't really know what else to say with this. Like he's out on the field, he's walking, he's healthy. So,
well, healthy at not really at the moment. Obviously, he's not able to actually throw yet.
Well, yeah,
but I mean, they said that it'll probably be another week or 2 until he's ready to throw again, but I don't really think it's going to take too much time for Joe Burrow to get, situated in the offense again. So I don't really think this should be too much of a worry.
A side topic, since since I've got this in my mind, Chase Young coming back from his ACL tear. They said that today that he's could miss potentially the first 2 weeks of the season. And Josh, we talked about this last week. Do you think that he is a crucial piece that's going to be missing from that defensive line for the Commanders? Or do you think that with Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat that they could hold it down without him?
Oh, he is going to be missed dearly because the Commanders, or as I like to call them, the Washington Commies, they need all the help they can get on the defensive side, and that it starts with that line, which is a pretty awesome looking line when you take a look at it, and so he's going to definitely be missed because he's coming off the left side, right, or the right side.
Right side. Sweat's coming off the left, I believe.
Yeah, so you're going to miss that pressure coming on from that side, and he is such a physical specimen that he can move linebackers. Well, yeah, he could, but linemen out of the way so that Sweat, Payne, and Allen can get through. So he's definitely going to be missed because he's one of those apex defensive linemen in the league.
Yeah, let's see if that Commanders D-line or defense can actually show up like they did 2 years ago when Alex Smith was the quarterback and took them to the playoffs back when, he was playing. That defense was scary and a force to be reckoned with and almost knocked Tom Brady out of the playoffs in the first round with Taylor Heineke as the quarterback. Let that sink in. A defense for the Washington Commanders almost knocked Tom Brady out of the playoffs.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they were that good.
I agree with that, Mitch. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this live stream. Thank you to the both of you for joining me today. Thank you more to Chase because he actually showed up early.
He's still salty about Josh not showing up on time.
Yes, I am. Josh,
And Mitch, Trey.
I say 8 o'clock. I don't mean 8:15. I mean 8 o'clock.
Man,
Mitch,
I gotta
Trey,
line up
I
I
do
gotta
wanna
get my
say
hairline lined up. There you go. Gotta get that whole 180 degrees.
I do want to say this to you guys. Thank you for listening to our banter. Now, a lot of the arguments that we have, we like to debate back and forth. That's the one thing that me and Derek enjoy doing a lot. We have good points going back and forth, and we try to bring out facts and stuff that make
I'm gonna try to be their moderator. They're gonna be Skip and Shannon. I'm gonna be what's her face in the middle.
Yeah, I can't even remember who it is.
But
now.
yeah, no, I appreciate you guys for that. Make sure that you tell some friends and have them get on for the next broadcast that we do.
Tell them you saw the most crispiest hair lineup you've ever seen there, Trey, and then we'll come here and see.
You don't have a crispy hairline.
They call me the extra crispy Colonel.
Oh my God.
They call you burnt chicken. Okay.
To save you guys the headache of dealing with Josh. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Chasing Larger Sports Stories podcast. Mitchell, Trey, I know you guys are still in here. Have a good night. And to everyone else, deuces.